Fidei.email, you don't need to compromise faith to participate in the modern world. Instead of pushing ads and invasive practices that conflict with Catholic values, we built Fidei to reclaim technology for Christendom. When you use Fidei.email, you declare your commitment to technology that defends Christian tradition. Join Fidei.email today and use technology to advance Christendom.
Amazingly, and by all accounts, it looks like a miracle happened in the United States in the last few months and is now being made public. A woman in the United States invoked the name of a blessed on his way to canonization for healing, specifically the healing of tumors she had. This soon-to-be canonized saint has not yet been canonized, but if there's any justice in this, the Vatican will examine this and will do so in an honest way. Miraculously, the woman, after she and her family invoked prayers for intercession, was healed of tumors. That's that's what we call a little in your face as healings go. So we go to Catholic Vote with this headline: Teen's tumors vanish after prayers to Blessed Solanus Casey, a possible final miracle for canonization. Published just very recently. This is not an old story by any stretch. The young woman involved is a woman named Mary Bartold. She's like a sophomore at a Catholic high school. Here are the details. A Michigan teenager's unexplained healing after prayers to Blessed Solanus Casey could become the miracle the church needs to declare the beloved Capuchin friar a saint. 16-year-old Mary Bartold from DeWitt was facing surgery after doctors discovered tumors on both her ovaries in May 2024, the Detroit Free Press reported. As she prepared for what could have been a life-changing operation, her parents, Susan and Rick Bartold, turned to prayer, making a pilgrimage to the Solanus Casey Center in Detroit and initiating a novena for his intercession. Mary, a sophomore at Lansing Catholic High School, had first experienced sharp abdominal pain during school in late April. I was toppled over, she recalled. I couldn't move at all because it hurt so bad. When the pain persisted, concern deepened. A CAT scan and ultrasound revealed alarming results. There was a 7.3 centimeter mass on Mary's left ovary and a 1.5 centimeter mass on the right. Doctors feared ovarian torsion, an emergency that could result in loss of her reproductive organs. The possibility devastated Mary. All she could say to us was, "I want to be a mom," Susan remembered. And even though we understand that there are other ways to be a beautiful mother, for a 16-year-old, it was really, really hard. Let's pause here. Note what the family did. They went to a shrine. They started a prayer campaign. That's what a novena is, to Blessed Solanus Casey. Solanus Casey. My pronunciation isn't great, but that is what they did. They turned to prayer when the material solution failed. If the Vatican investigates this, they will find hostile experts, medical experts who are not Catholics typically, who will look to see if this could have been done through material means. If her miraculous healing was possible through the normal course of life events. As you'll see, they were flabbergasted too, at least the ones that she was interacting with. Back to the article, quote, physicians at the University of Michigan determined the masses were teratomas, tumors typically benign but still requiring surgical removal. The procedure was scheduled for August 2nd, 2024. Trusting in the power of prayer, the Bartolds visited the Solanus Casey Center July 6th, asking not only for Mary's healing, but also that she be granted the grace to travel this road that the Lord had put before her, Susan said. Mary's family also rallied others in the community to join them in novena to Blessed Solanus. Then came July 30th, Blessed Solanus' feast day. Mary underwent an MRI early that morning. As Susan drove her to the appointment, she prayed aloud, "Solanus, this is your feast day. I know you have big news." That evening, Susan saw the results of Mary's patient portal. It appeared the tumors were gone. The next day, Mary's doctors called and confirmed it. She was just like, "There's nothing there. It's all gone," Susan recalled. The doctor apologized for the delay in calling, explaining she had consulted with multiple radiologists to be absolutely certain before sharing the news. "I really wanted to make sure that I was telling you the correct news," Mary's doctor had said. "We're good to cancel the surgery." "Thought it was a mistake," she said, but when the reality sank in, her response was simple. "I was just grateful I didn't have to have surgery." End quote. And afterwards, her family went back to the tomb of Blessed Solanus and prayed in thanksgiving for his intercession. They have then since taken the records of all of this and sent them to the diocese to hope that they'll communicate this to the Vatican to investigate. I want to be a bit of a downer and a good news story, but the guidelines on Marian apparitions give you an idea of how they'll handle this, which is to say, Cardinal Fernandez of the Dicastery of the Doctrine of the Faith has said, so we shall see how they respond to this. If you want a good prayer campaign, I would recommend you pray a novena for the that the Vatican will investigate this with the appropriate rigor, and they would be willing, if the facts lead them to believe that this was divine intercession, divine intervention in this, that they confirm this as a miracle, if that's where the facts lead them. Remember, the truth must prevail in these things. If you're not familiar with Blessed Casey, he is not very many Americans have been canonized, but he is definitely on his way. He's called the Wonder Worker. It's also from Catholic Vote. Here are the details of who this is. This is not very long at all, much shorter than the previous Catholic Vote piece. First, people lined up in Yonkers, then in Harlem, Detroit, and Brooklyn. Always those lines led to the same man, Father Solanus Casey, the Capuchin Wonder Worker. Born Bernard Casey in 1870, the future priest grew up in a 3-room log cabin with his parents and 15 siblings. With morning and evening prayer said daily, a rosary prayed nightly, and regular chores, life in that Wisconsin cabin wasn't all that different from life in a monastery. Yet not until he was 21 and had worked as a lumberjack, hospital orderly, prison guard, and streetcar operator did Casey consider religious life. At first, he pursued the diocesan priesthood, but the seminary he entered offered classes in only German and Latin. Speaking neither, Casey fell behind academically. When the rector suggested monastic life, Casey went to Detroit to study with the Capuchins. He was finally ordained to the priesthood on July 24th, 1904, but due to his ongoing academic struggles, his ordination was an ordinatio simplex, meaning he could say mass but not preach publicly or hear confessions. Casey, however, was happy. He was a priest. That fall, Casey took up his first assignment as sacristan and doorkeeper at Sacred Heart Parish in Yonkers, New York. There, the miracles began. People would come to the monastery with some sort of trouble. Casey, as the doorkeeper, would greet them and talk with them. He would then enroll them in the Capuchin Seraphic Mass Association. With remarkable frequency, healing followed. Some days, the people who lined up to see Casey numbered more than 200. In every city he served, the priest met them all. For 53 years, Casey spent his days talking with visitors and his nights in prayer. By the time of his death in 1957, the Capuchins had filled 7 notebooks with accounts of cancers cured, kidneys healed, limbs made whole, and infertility vanquished, all through the intercession of the man who Pope Francis named Blessed on November 18th, 2017. His beatification took place at Ford Field in Detroit before an estimated crowd of 60,000 people. That's an American hero. You know, the president is talking about having this garden of American heroes, and there are some Catholic figures going to be in there, including Fulton Sheen. I don't know if Father Casey will be in there, but if he's not, he should be. But I'm curious what you think about this story. Let me know. Do you have any hope that the Vatican will investigate this properly, including being willing to attribute miracles if need be? Let me know what you think about this in the comments, please. And hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It truly does help. So does sharing this on social media. That helps too. Say a prayer to Blessed Father Casey for this, and as always, pray for the church. I am Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.